In this video, we will talk about alternate history. What if major historical events had a different outcome? History, as we know, it is shaped by key events that determine the course of nations and civilizations. But what if some of these events had taken a different turn? How would our world be different today? Alternate history explores these possibilities, offering a fascinating lens to imagine what might have been. This video examines several major historical events and speculates on their alternative outcomes, all with simple explanations. The American Revolution. What if Britain had won? The American Revolution, 1775 to 1783, led to the creation of the United States. But what if Britain had managed to defeat the colonists and maintain control over its American colonies? Had Britain won, the United States might never have existed as an independent nation. The colonies could have remained part of the British Empire with limited self-governance. This might have delayed or prevented the rise of democracy as a global movement. Britain's dominance could have been even stronger, affecting trade, politics, and culture worldwide. The global spread of revolutionary ideals inspired by the American Revolution might have been stifled, impacting later movements like the French Revolution. Without a strong United States, the balance of power during events like World War I and World War II would have been entirely different. World War II. What if Nazi Germany had won? World War II, 1939 to 1945, ended with the Allied powers defeating Nazi Germany, but imagining a victory for the Axis powers paints a grim picture. If Nazi Germany had won, Europe could have been divided among authoritarian regimes, with countries ruled by oppressive governments. Human rights and personal freedoms would likely have been severely limited, and Nazi ideology might have spread to other parts of the world, leading to more widespread discrimination and violence. The continuation of the Holocaust and other atrocities would have had devastating effects on millions of people. Many lives would have been lost, and cultures could have been erased. This dark period might have caused long-lasting trauma for generations. In terms of technology and science, advancements driven by wartime competition might have taken a different path. Without the pressure of the Allies, innovations in areas like medicine, aviation, and electronics may have slowed down or changed focus. The United States and the Soviet Union might not have risen as superpowers, which would have significantly altered global politics. This shift would also impact the dynamics of the Cold War. Instead of a rivalry between the US and the Soviet Union, the world might have seen different alliances or conflicts arising from Axis dominance. The space race, which was largely fueled by competition between these superpowers, could have been drastically different or might not have happened at all. In summary, a victory for the Axis powers would have led to a darker world, marked by oppression, loss of freedoms, and altered technological progress. The consequences would have reshaped global politics and society for years to come. The fall of the Roman Empire. What if it had survived? The fall of the Western Roman Empire in 476 CE marked a significant turning point in European history. But what if the empire had never fallen? A surviving Roman Empire could have maintained political and cultural unity across Europe for centuries. The continuity of Roman governance might have prevented the fragmentation of Europe into smaller kingdoms, leading to earlier technological and scientific advancements. The preservation of Roman infrastructure and trade networks could have accelerated globalization. However, centralized power might have also stifled cultural diversity in local governance, creating a more uniform but potentially less dynamic world. The assassination of Abraham Lincoln. What if he had lived? Abraham Lincoln's assassination in 1865 cut short his efforts to rebuild the United States after the Civil War. What if Lincoln had lived to complete his second term? Lincoln's leadership during Reconstruction might have led to a smoother reintegration of the Southern states into the Union. Racial tensions might have been mitigated, and civil rights for freed slaves could have been established earlier and more firmly. Without the chaotic Reconstruction period, the United States might have achieved national unity and economic growth more quickly. However, the deep-rooted divisions of the time would still have posed challenges, requiring strong and visionary leadership. The space race. What if the Soviets had landed on the moon first? The United States moon landing in 1969 was a defining moment of the 20th century. But what if the Soviet Union had beaten the US to this milestone? A Soviet moon landing could have shifted the balance of the Cold War, boosting the Soviet Union's global influence. It might have led to increased investments in space exploration and science, with both superpowers competing even more intensely. The political dynamics of the Cold War might have been altered, potentially delaying the eventual collapse of the Soviet Union. Space exploration's role in inspiring international cooperation might also have taken a different path, affecting modern space programs. The Cuban Missile Crisis. What if it had escalated? In 1962, the Cuban Missile Crisis brought the world to the brink of nuclear war. What if this standoff between the United States and the Soviet Union had escalated into full-scale conflict? A nuclear war could have caused catastrophic destruction, with millions of lives lost and long-term environmental damage. The Cold War might have ended abruptly, leaving survivors to rebuild in a world shaped by fear and devastation. The political and social consequences would have been profound. The United Nations and other international organizations might have evolved differently, focusing even more on preventing future nuclear conflicts. The discovery of the New World. What if indigenous civilizations had resisted? The arrival of European explorers in the Americas in the late 15th century led to the colonization and eventual domination of indigenous civilizations. But what if these civilizations had successfully resisted European conquest? If indigenous peoples had united and resisted, their cultures and societies might have flourished independently. The global balance of power would have shifted, and the exchange of goods and ideas between continents would have taken a different form. European nations might have focused their colonial ambitions elsewhere, altering the course of history in Africa, Asia, and Oceania. The modern world's cultural and economic landscape would likely be vastly different. The Industrial Revolution. What if it had begun elsewhere? The Industrial Revolution started in Britain in the late 18th century, transforming economies and societies. What if it had originated in another part of the world, such as China or India? An industrial revolution in Asia might have positioned these regions as global economic leaders much earlier. The spread of technology and industrial practices would have followed different patterns, potentially avoiding some of the social and environmental challenges associated with Western industrialization. Global power dynamics would have shifted, with Asian nations dominating trade, politics, and culture. However, the challenges of industrialization, such as worker exploitation and environmental degradation, would still have been significant. Alternate history allows us to explore the possibilities of what might have been if key events had unfolded differently. While these speculations are imaginative, they also highlight the interconnectedness of historical events and their profound impact on the world. By considering these alternate outcomes, we gain a deeper appreciation for the complexity and fragility of history as we know it. What do you think of our video? Let me know in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button. Also, subscribe to our channel before you go. Thank you for watching.